And now let us all come back again to talk about Yugioh Vrains' good parts. Let's say goodbye to this show on a positive note. Let's show that there was a light at the end of the dark tunnel. A light that a bland, boring protagonist riding on a hoverboard flies into, giving a line that was probably just 80 yard by the editing team. Oh yes, let us talk about that light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, I swear that's the last insult. We're here to talk about the positive points about Yugioh Vrains, the 5 best ones, and believe it or not, this wasn't that hard a list to come up with. I know, right? Like, actually, a lot of these were very strong things that kept me going through the series, and I'm actually quite happy to give them their due. Also, if my voice sounds a little weird at any point, I've kind of been sick as a dog all week, and this is like the first chance I've had all week to have an actual voice. So we are going to get right to this before I lose that voice again. So let us just get right on to it with number 5. So while I feel like the themes of being a survivor and trying to overcome a tragedy were not well executed, I actually think the themes of human expansion in the show were done pretty well. What I think the show does that's very smart is that I never felt like it was taking a side. I never felt like the show was pro-technology or against technology, and it's very easy to take a side in that argument. So many forms of fictional media that talk about these sorts of subjects are usually either technology bad, we gotta stay pure, or they're very much technology good, let it take over. This was very much, here's the positives, here's the negatives, here's the good of people being able to connect on a wide scale, here's the advantages of a girl like Aoi who maybe doesn't stand out so much or has issues connecting with people, getting to be this cool idol. Here is like the issues when you have it. People are streaming the internet directly into their brains, or so many companies can create such dangerous forms of technology. I felt like a lot of this was very well handled, and it was always interesting. I loved learning about the perspective of the Knights of Hanoi and Revolver, and I loved hearing the case for the Ignaces and why they should get to live. Oh, we'll get back to them. But yeah, it was all in all very smart, and in my opinion, what always works when fiction wants to talk about a subject, it's always best never make your side of the argument necessarily obvious. What I mean by that is when fiction does a good job of conveying a message or talking about a social issue, it simply makes you feel like you're getting the information and you come to your own conclusions. And I felt like in a series that could get very hand-fisted at times, it was so great to see such a poignant and more relevant as we go further into the 21st century issue be done with a very good level of respect. Number 4. So, even though they're considered to be the most popular characters of each of their Yu-Gi-Ohs, I feel like a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Rivals aren't necessarily as strong, rivals as they get built up to be. Kaiba, I always felt like got weaker as the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Went by. Chaz never felt like a match for Jaden. Jack had the same problem as Kaiba. Ryoga and Kaito are both great, but they just kind of come in and out of the story at their own convenience. Reiji never feels like Reiji never felt like Yuma could beat him, even at the end of the show, and Sawatori did nothing. Revolver, on the other hand, has an amazing presence, and he always felt involved, and I always felt like his ideology was at odds with Yusaku. I always felt like there was a reason why these two characters needed to be against each other, and it's not just because Revolver brought back the 3000 attack point dragon. It's not just because Borreload is a badass, amazing card, and I love him. Okay, it's a little bit of that, but just in general, he has such a great just feel to him. Kudos to the voice actor. Like, Revolver may not sound like he's 16 years old, but I don't give a shit because that guy just always made Revolver feel powerful. He always felt intelligent. I always felt like Yusaku had to work to get up to his level. And now, yes, Yusaku never lost to Revolver, but what sort of felt interesting was that you always felt like Revolver had Yusaku at his toes, at his feet, always getting taken down. Now, maybe that's because Revolver played basically Dragon Link, and I think we all were waiting for Dragon Link to become super relevant, then Agripane got banned, so yeah, there's that. But he just always felt like a powerful character. Like, even in moments where he's just giving exposition, they'd either give him the right facial expression or he'd have this, like, happiness to his voice when he's talking about being destructive or dangerous that you can't help but be fascinated by him. And the fact that they write his dialogue so well that you almost feel like you understand where he's coming from. Like, yeah, a lot of what he's talking about has a logic to it. And in my opinion, that makes an antagonistic character so much more interesting than just me evil, me destroy. So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, even though I might like a character like Ryoga a little bit more, I think Revolver might be my favorite just rival character in the whole show. Number 3, the Ignaces. So, yeah, I think everyone thinks it's a little cliche at this point to talk about how the talking computer programs felt more like human beings than the actual human beings in the show, but it's true. All 6 Ignaces are fascinating to me. Now, granted, part of the reason they can get as much focus as they do is because they don't have mouths, so there's not as much to animate, and they're not super detailed, but they really went all out for these guys. All 6 of them are fascinating in their own right. Lightning obviously takes the case, but of course he was the driving force of the whole thing. But each one, rather it's Aqua's desire to work with the humans, Earth's desire simply to protect Aqua, Flame's desire to work with humans as well, Windy's desire just for chaos. I loved all 6 of these guys. Like, everything about them was interesting, from the way they were created with the torturing of the kids, to the way all 6 of them processed that, the way that weighed in on their souls. Yeah, we feel like they were ensouled. Like, they felt like people. They didn't just feel like plot points. Like, they had their own emotions and story arcs, and getting to see them be executed and getting to learn to care about them. Think about this for a minute. The one that looked like a fucking Cheeto had this amazing scene that made everyone hate Go. Like, that was insane. I don't know if you all remember, but that week after that episode came on, like, the amount of hate I saw for Go was crazy. Like, I think I saw a Yugioh video where someone was burning their pancreatopses. Like, oh shit. Like, when they can have that level of involvement and can get the audience that invested, you know they succeeded, and boy did they. Like, I actually felt sad the Ignaces left us, probably because we were stuck with Yusaku, but god, I love the Ignaces. Number 2, he's gotta get his own section. We gotta talk about Ai. If you notice, I avoided mentioning Ai in that last segment because how the fuck can Ai not get his own space? Ai is a fantastic character. From the minute the show started and he's chewing scenery and he's like laughing in the face of Revolver and all the other Ignaces are like, fuck this guy. And then like he's a weird Ai, like I just knew I would love this guy, and he never disappointed. I think he was the most consistently good thing from the beginning. He was never not compelling. He was never not fun as hell. The actor never like lost a beat. I mean, all in all, I'd say the acting in Yugioh Vrains is pretty solid. Like, every actor deserves a shout out, but nobody steals the show as much as I did. Every scene with him is fascinating. Everything he did was interesting. And oh my god, what they did with him at the end there. I never expected in a million years Yugioh would pull off a storyline like this as well as they did. I love Ai so much, and he is such a fascinating character. Like, people keep saying that the next Yu-Gi-Oh series is going to be like some crazy ass anniversary special with all the protagonists. I say yes, but ditch Yusaku, bring Ai back, damn it. Also, his human form. Pretty easy on the eyes, I will not lie. Number 1. So, this might seem a little weird to some people, but I gotta give it to the final 13 episodes. Like, seriously, this doesn't happen. Like, ever. Like, shows don't have this level of production problems. Shows don't have this up and down, inconsistent writing, these levels of mediocre animation, and pull together a final set of episodes like this did. It was insane to me. Like, I think almost all positive reviews. If I made fun of a thing or two here or there, it was mostly just to get in some humor. But, oh my god, this was fascinating to me. Like, this whole final arc is mostly just based around a dude's breakdown and how he just doesn't recover. Like, it's fascinating to me. And I love watching how it affects everybody. I loved how it finally gave Yusaku some human moments. I loved how everyone around wasn't quite sure how to react. I loved everything with Robapi. I got emotionally invested in a vacuum cleaner. God! Like, it was so well handled and so well executed, and I loved everything about it. It's so emotionally charged. Like, yeah, it sucks we never got the big final battle with Soul Technologies I think we were all expecting, and it felt like the show was building up to. Yeah, maybe there wasn't a big final speed duel, maybe there wasn't... There's a bunch of stuff else we probably were expecting, but you have to understand, for a show to scrap everything like that, to basically take this big, huge story that they knew wasn't working and to just turn it into this small, intimate, personal story of friendship and relationship and connections and the struggle to move past tragedy and how just some people just can't do it. And that's just life, is such a beautifully well done, well executed message. Since Vrains ended, mostly what I've been thinking about was that final 13. Like, yeah, a lot of the problems are still very poignant, and the show does not get a free pass from its issues. But the final 13 kind of reminds me why I love Yu-Gi-Oh! So much. And it's like, yeah, I enjoy Cardfight Vanguard, I enjoy the current Beyblade anime, I do enjoy several toy commercial shonens. I think when your rule is just make it around a toy, the rest you can just do on your own, I think you can make some interesting stories with that. But I feel that none of them quite do it like Yu-Gi-Oh! Does. No other toy commercial shonen is as ambitious. No other wants to tell as compelling a story. And just amongst shonen in general, I feel Yu-Gi-Oh! Has given us so much more interesting and compelling drama and consistently over the years. That's what makes Vrains having problem hurt so much. In the end, at the end of the day, I think Yugioh Vrains still has a lot more interesting stuff in it than your average Borutos or One Pieces, or even better shonens like Demon Slayer or My Hero Academia. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Has delivered some very interesting, poignant stories over the years, and Vrains had a lot of good things going for it. So what I hope happens in the future is Yu-Gi-Oh! Listened to the fact that this one did not do well in ratings. It did not get the same level of interest that other ones have, even as much as Arc 5 did, and I hope they'll listen to that, and I hope they will respond and fix it. Because that flair, that energy that has made Yu-Gi-Oh! Amazing over the years, yes, a lot of the problem people are still at Konami, but that means a lot of the passionate people are still around too. And I'm hoping in this 6-month hiatus, they'll remember that, and they'll recapture that. And considering the fact they're already kind of hyping up this big anniversary special with doing that teaser they aired, which, and I know it's just a teaser, and it was just a black screen with writing on it, but I want to believe Yu-Gi-Oh! Has something special, because as much as common sense should dictate, go in cynical, go in negative, and obviously we all know I'm not against being negative, I will always go into a Yu-Gi-Oh! Series excited and wanting that level of storytelling that I think only Yu-Gi-Oh! Can bring us. So yeah, that was Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. A bit of a bumpy ride, definitely could have been better, but it brought it all together in the end in a way that only Yu-Gi-Oh! Can. So in the comments section below, give me your thoughts on what you liked about Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, what you felt were the best parts. Because let's end on a high note. I want Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains to have its positive points be just as remembered if the negative points, if not a bit more. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and I think for the next videos, I kind of want to just, thinking a lot about Ai over the past few weeks, makes me want to do top 10 best and worst Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters. So if any of you want to talk about that as well, that'll be coming up next. So then as always, click to like, click subscribe, and join me for all to come.